Hey everybody, it's Sean and Trey with Reactions to the Classics. Before we get started today, we just wanted to invite you to take a look at our Patreon page where we have all kinds of reward tiers, anywhere from reacting to an entire album to songs, and to support us for as little as $1 a month. It really helps us out.
And you can also check out our Facebook and Discord groups down below. Got a great community of people who love music. And all that to say, y'all, let's get to today's video. What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined again by my dad, Sean, and today, Reactions to the Classics. We are finishing up the Beatles Anthology 2. This is part 3, and you can check out the description down below if you'd like to see part 1 and 2 of Anthology 2.
Well, Trey, we're going to kick this off with take 8, another number in here, with Good Morning, Good Morning. We both really enjoyed the final product of this on Sgt. Pepper's. This one is definitely different instrumentally from the jump. The drumming stands out for Ringo.
Yeah.
And the song itself is great. John was sitting at home, kind of depressed in the morning, heard a Kellogg's commercial, decided to write this. I enjoyed listening to it in an earlier stage just because I like the song so much.
Yeah, and they didn't have the back and good morning, good
No,
morning.
I know, but in my head it was there. Do you find that when you listen to these because you know the song so well, it still plays in your head even though it's not there?
The brain fills in the gaps for you, and we didn't have that blistering little guitar solo or mini solo at the end, but it was replaced by some top-notch Ringo drumming, which we mentioned earlier in this disc as well. And then that's going to take us to the next tune.
Only a Northern Song, takes 3 and 12.
And so this one I didn't like as much as the Yellow Submarine version, but I
didn't either.
I think a lot of people have qualms with that version just because it is so busy, so much trumpets and instrumentation in here. And though you still had that here, it was a little bit more clean. And
yeah, it was mixed in stereo, slightly sped up.
And so I did enjoy the bass and organ groove here. It was a groovy tune all the way around. But I'm still a Yellow Submarine fan for this song.
I am too, but this one sounded much more like a rock song.
I agree.
I did enjoy hearing a different version of it. You talk about a different version. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite is our next track. It's takes 1 and 2. So this is a very complicated song, as much as they took it, if you remember from the original review, they took it and cut up the different
sound bites,
threw it up and taped it together. So obviously you're not going to get this on takes 1 and 2. So I like that part of it too because it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add. Definitely a less crazy psychedelic feel.
Yeah, it's only a little over a minute long, so we're not talking about, you know.
But even so, it still had that crazy, the carousel-like sounds in there. So even at this early stage, it was pretty advanced.
And you finally had some studio chatter, which we haven't had in a little while in the anthology. So I did enjoy that fly on the wall component. So that'll take us into take 7, where it's morphing into the final version. I enjoyed it. I don't really have much else to say about it.
No, yeah, and when I was talking earlier about the carousel sounds, it was on take 7, not, the first one.
Well, they blend together. The first one's only a minute long, and so when you're listening to it, they just blend together. So.
But then we're going to keep on trucking, going to
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Take 6, 7, and 8. Are all mixed together here. It's only 3 minutes long. John almost sounds strained in places, but in other places he sounds great. I think the chorus sounds great. And you can tell it's in 3 different takes. You can hear how it progresses from being pretty rough to really good to really, really good. But yeah, I just thought John's voice was kind of all over the place on this. What did you think?
Well, you mentioned only a Northern Song being a more straight up rock tune, and this was almost a more straight up version of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, less psychedelic. You did have a constant drone in there, but it was a little bit more stripped back and less busy in its nature. So I thought it was pretty cool. And then we're gonna move on to the instrumental for Within You, Without You. Really not a ton to say about this one. It was just the instrumental to the song, and I think that lent well due to all the Indian instrumentation in here. And this is a tune that I've really grown to enjoy through the past year.
As you were listening to this, were you singing it in your head? Was George singing to you in your head? Because he was me. This is 5 minutes and 27 seconds long. And yes, I think you can really appreciate, especially the Indian instrumentation. But I also think for me, it was too long. Because
I
it's
can
very
see that.
repetitive, which is supposed to be. When you throw the words in there, it blends. But for me, 5.5 minutes on this, I would have liked them to take it down to about 3, and I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah, and I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from. It's not one I'm going to be revisiting a ton. I just prefer to listen to the Sgt. Pepper's version.
Me too, but...
and then we're going to keep on the Sgt. Pepper's train to another song I'm not likely to revisit, the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Reprise. This is take 5. You can tell they're just kind of running through it. Paul's just going through the motions a little bit on this.
Vocals are different. I thought the drums and guitar were still really good on it, but the vocals... they were just different. As you said, it sounds like they're working through it. That's going to take us to You Know My Name. Look up the number. It's over 5 minutes. It's actually 5:43. It's really, really different, Trey. Kind of weird voices, grunts towards the end. This is just it's a different kind of thing, man.
Oh, absolutely. And, it is interesting comparing this to the original. There is a couple differences in here. You start off, I really enjoy John going in, yelling in the back, and then we got the deeper, more bass type of voice in there from the lads. And then the second section, it gets a little bit more brass instrumentation than the original.
A lot more, yeah.
Of this version, we have then the Latin section where old Macca is pretty suave, and we finish it off into some like kind of comical type voices, and the ending also added some trumpet. And overall, this was one of the rare instances on this anthology where I enjoyed this one more than the original tune that we had heard.
Wow, hot take, Trey, coming in strong. That's going to take us to take 16 of I Am the Walrus. Not bad at all. Take 16. They've kind of worked it out by now.
Yeah, John has a little snafu where he's about to say yellow man, and then it was almost like a TV show bleeping out a curse word, and there was less craziness in there after the good job type of deal in there. Again, this is a tune where it was very close, almost like Taxman that we talked about on part 2 of this. Very close to the original, to where I would just prefer to just listen to the original over this one.
Yeah, I would as well. And that's going to take us to the demo version of The Fool on the Hill. Remember, Paul wrote this for the Maharaji and everything that went on when they were over there in India. I like this version a lot because it's Paul by himself just recording this demo, and it gives you an idea of just how really talented this guy was and still is, as we know, as we got to see him in concert last year. But for what it is, for him, not in a studio, just him recording on his own, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, you just have him, his piano. I really enjoyed the fact we had this a couple times on this disc where he just improvises and imitates what he wants the instruments to sound like with his own voice, and you're like, oh, they really did get that exact sound on the final version. So that was what really stood out to this listener. And then that'll take us to take 27, mentioning takes going up, of Your Mother Should Know. Now, this one, you have some backing in here, just studio banter, where they say, do you want us to do it again, George?
Do you want us to do it again, George?
Yeah, exactly. Very high-pitched. You had a droning organ, I think it was, some marching drums, which gave it a little bit of a unique flair, some scat-like vocals where, again, Paul points out where the instruments need it to go. So I like this a lot more than some of the other tunes we've had up to this point.
Yeah, because you had some chatter at the end and that stuff. And then you go to The Fool on the Hill, take 4. So we're in the studio. So it was odd to me, Trey, they just didn't go from his demo
I thought the same
to this
thing.
version, why they put a song in between. This version's fine. I actually liked his demo more.
And this is, obviously more close to the master version of this, and I think for that reason as well, I like the demo more, just to see the very grassroots nature of it. Still a fantastic tune, great way to show off Paul's voice here.
Definitely.
And then we're gonna go to Hello Goodbye.
Take 16. So we are really going up on the takes here. Yeah, it had a different guitar. It was more of an active guitar line where Harrison answers McCartney's vocal phrasing over the opening verse. Sort of a series of descending fills. Also has a short guitar solo, which would be replaced on the official release with a little scat singing from Paul. And some think that started to cause some issues between Paul and George. There's probably already some issues between Paul and George. And maybe it didn't, but you take a guy's guitar solo out. That was really good, by the way. And I'm sure Paul had his reason. I'm not taking sides, but that could upset you a little bit. Trey, if I right now, when I edit this video, take out what you're about to say and you watch it back, you might be a little upset.
That's true. I'd be like, the people want to hear the greatness. Well, I don't have anything great particularly to say here.
You better bring it with that build up.
This was almost like two sides of the same coin with the, the original version we know, and then this one. Really, that guitar is what makes it stand out to me. I don't really prefer one version over the other. They're just slightly different, more what you're feeling at the moment. Then we go to a short and sweet track here, Lady Madonna, where the saxophone is much more prominent in here.
Yeah, it's very, very different instrumentally.
And that's really the most notable thing about this tune. I think what I just said about Hello Goodbye applies here. If you want to hear a more saxophone and brass laden tune, you're going to listen to the Anthology version.
Yeah, otherwise it's pretty straight and simple. That brings us to the final track on disc 2 of Anthology, Across the Universe, take 2. This one doesn't have the heavy production. It's often referred to as the psychedelic recording because of the strong sitar and tambura sound, and kind of illustrates how the band didn't really know where to go with this song, which I get because it's a different kind of song. So you do get a different feel here for the song, and I always do enjoy that on this. I don't really want to hear the nearly straight down the middle version of it.
I totally agree, and it's interesting. We have 3 pretty different versions of this song. Let It Be, we had the Wall of Sound, Phil Spector. Let It Be Naked, we stripped that back, and here we get a psychedelic version that's equal parts dreamy, and also you can tell some longing in there from John's voice. I thought this was a great way to end this disc. One of the highlights of this 45 song part 2 of Anthology, and that is gonna close us out for today.
It is, so look for disc 3 part 1 upcoming soon. If you're watching this way after we publish it, it will be down below. Trey, I enjoyed the journey of disc 2. We'll share which disc we like the best and all our thoughts at the end of this journey in part 9 at the end of disc 3, but we really appreciate you joining us, coming along for the ride. Please hit the big thumbs up. If you enjoyed this, hit the big red subscribe button, and we will be back very soon. Thank you, Trey, and we will see you
next time.